Hey guys, how you doing? This is Andy Huang. 大家好，我是黄家贤. Hey, listen, today, I was, for those of you that know me personally, you understand that how much I enjoy watching shows on Netflix. As a matter of fact, I don't even watch regular TV that much anymore. So, and then my choice of poison is always comedy shows. So then I just saw the notification to send you anytime when a new artist or new comedian, stand-up comedian shows up. So this particular one, it's a French American. His name, I believe it's like Gade Al-Maleh, I think. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing it correctly, because throughout the show he's making fun of his the other accents and all stuff. But anyway, so he was talking about a lot of first of all, the title of the show is called American Dream. So it's funny because I did the gig, I did a clip on that, but I never released it because not a gig, not a comedy show, but it's like a hard 20 minutes or half an hour recording of everything that's been happening. So I did a recording because I would like to I would like the other people to get to know me a little better. So, but I never released it because I realized there's some topic just very sensitive, and I wasn't sure if others were ready for it. But anyway, and after listening to him, I realized, the most, there are always going to be haters out there. There are always going to be people very opinionated. So it doesn't matter what you say or what you do. People are always going to judge you differently based on their views. So I decided, I went back, I looked at it, I took out some non-essential parts, then I realized, this should be pretty good. So I wanted to kind of just talk about, in general, some about real estate, some about other things, issues, current events in just in general. Okay, so first things first, I met, the reason why it actually hit hard was because of the American Dream. Because when I came, I came to this country when I was 14 years old. For those of you that know me on personal levels, you know that I spent the first year in Missouri. I was fortunate. I spent a year in Missouri. That's where I picked up, all my English, and it kind of gave me that whole, Americanized education path. So that's why, I finished, high school, college, because, when you're here, that's the norm. So, and then, I came here, I remember, I came here, when I was 14, I came here with my mom, my two sisters, older sisters, and a younger brother. We're 12 years apart. Then we had nothing. We came here with, I think, roughly $800 in our pocket. Something small. I mean, every time we always make fun of my mom because when we talk about the money, the dollar amount, seems to kind of varies, depends on the mood that she's in. So sometimes it was 500, then it was 800, then it's like 200. I know for sure it's less than 1,000. Let's just put it that way. So back in 1987, 1,000, it's not a lot of, it's not nothing, but it's definitely not a lot of money when you're thinking about moving from another part of the world completely. I came from Taiwan. I was born in Taipei, and I was there until I was almost 14. I came here December 27. Actually, by the time I hit Detroit, it was 28. So I landed in Detroit. It was a blizzard. It was a snowstorm of the century. They had to cancel a lot of flights, and they asked us, would you like to go to the hotel? So back then, we didn't know when a flight is canceled that the airport or the air flight, they will put you in a hotel free of charge. We didn't know that, so we thought, how can we afford? So we said no. So it was me, just us hunker down in one part of the airport. So I think about 3 o'clock in the morning, they said that, good news, we're going to have another flight, just to take you guys to, we ended up going to Independence, Missouri. So, but anyway, so it was just, it's fascinating how different things mean differently in different parts of the world. So, but anyway, so then I spent a year. I went to Van Horn High School, and it was very hard. It was very tough because I always tell everyone I'm fortunate because thank God my grandfather insists on us coming over to to Missouri first, because I know so many people, so many of my friends, clients, coworkers, they came here directly from wherever they're from, Taiwan, Hong Kong, China, whatever, different parts of the world. The problem is New York is a melting pot of immigrants, and then when you're here, you don't get the chance of learning the language the way you should. For example, you are here. I'll give you an example. Grammatic, it's totally different in other languages than in English. Okay, so if you don't learn it properly, you can't, no one's gonna make fun of you. But I can guarantee you, the way you speak directly influence how others view you. So I was very fortunate to have had that. Okay, so I know people in their 50s, they don't need a word of English. You could go to the hospital in Chinese. You could buy a house. Heck, you could get married, buy a house, have children, and plan your funeral. All with no word of English. Okay, so it's fascinating. I always tell everyone, getting married, having kids, buying a house, all these are major life events. But you could do it all in whatever dialogue you speak, because we always have those translate service, or as a matter of fact, anywhere you go in U.S. government, facilities, they have to have English, Spanish, Chinese, Korean, and now it's even more, Vietnamese, you name it. They will provide interpretation, translation service for you. So, but anyway, and then the reason why also I want to talk about it a little bit more is I told you guys about real estate. Is everyone knows me. I drive. Everywhere I go, I drive. I hate not being able to find parking. So the other day I was at I went back to my old company. For those of you that know me, I was in radiology for about 18 years. Before I switched to real estate again. And then I was there. I was just, at the front desk, because I've been doing this for so long, I'm so used to it. So I started talking. I ended up talking to Larry. It's a fascinating. He's an attorney, and then he's also on the city planning board. So I had no idea. I didn't know any of that. So we were just talking, and then I said, "Oh my God, I can't believe what these people have done to Flushing." He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Between all these bus-only lane, between making the pedestrian walkway wider, they single-handedly managed to destroy the traffic in Flushing." So he looked at me, and he didn't say anything. So then much later in the conversation, I found out, then I started telling him, what I'm doing. I'm a realtor, and then he was telling me. As a matter of fact, I gave him a business card. He goes, "Well, one of our board of directors actually is in real estate also, so I don't think that would be a conflict of interest. I don't think that would be a good idea." So I said, "Oh, okay. What do you do, if you don't mind me asking?" He said, "I'm an attorney." And then when he told me what he does for a living, I was like, "Wow!" And then he told me something that completely changed my point of view. I always tell everyone, and everyone seems to be telling me the same thing. "Oh my God, this traffic in Flushing is just getting so crazy. We hate to come to Flushing. There's no parking, and people are on the road, and the bus only lane, and all that stuff." Everyone seems to be talking about the same thing. So he had a completely different point of view. He said, I don't have a car, I don't drive, but if I was gonna get a car and drive, I would choose somewhere in Bayside. I wouldn't have chose a place in Flushing just for that, because of the parking. We were talking about, a friend of mine, actually, their company is the exclusive listing broker for the East-West Tower right at the intersection of 37th Ave and Union Street, right next to the 109th Police Precinct. So I was telling them, it's fascinating how the building that were approved by the city doesn't even provide enough parking for their own people. For example, in that building had roughly around 100 units. And then, not including the first, second, and the third, that's going to designate it for the commercial use or mixed use. So when I found out they barely have 100 parking space, and I was like, how is it possible? You don't even need to provide enough parking space for your own tenants, for your own people living upstairs. What's gonna happen to all the parking when the building does come up? And he said, that's when he said it. He said, a very interesting point of view. He said, if you ever look at parking facilities, those humongous parking facilities at night, unless it's 24 hours being occupied and used all the time, you're looking nothing but gray walls of cement and concrete, and it's very ugly, for city planning purposes. And that's when, for the first time, it really hit me. I was looking at it all wrong. You cannot force something based on your belief. You can't force something just because this is what I want, and if I don't get it, the system is broken. And that's why I think that's why I went back and I looked at my video, the one I originally recorded it, and that's what I was saying. Of course, I use different words, so that's why I chose words differently now, because I don't want anyone to think that I'm, strong opinionated, or I'm just complaining for nothing, because there's a difference between complaining and doing nothing, and there's a difference being constructive criticism. Okay, and I'm a firm believer of it's very important to have constructive criticism, because you want to solve something, come up with a solution. Don't just say, oh, that sucks, so what would you do differently? Oh, I don't know, I don't do that stuff. So, well, if you don't judge. So I know there's immigration laws, there's gun control laws, there's so many different things happening right now that people don't really know what they want. Like right now, the example I gave you guys was down in Flushing. Every day I would spend at least 10 minutes cursing whoever approved those bus-only lanes. But now, ever since that day, the conversation with Larry, I say to myself, you know what? That's right. This Flushing downtown was never meant for us to cruise around sightseeing in a car. You park your car, a remote site, and you could, there's transportation. You could hub into downtown Flushing, and you could just walk around everywhere. And then I did that the day right after I spoke with him, and I said, you know what? This is such a fantastic planning. Because now, when I'm walking down the street, everyone knows. For those of you, I came here, I spent, like what I said before, I spent a year in Missouri, and then the remainder portion, I was here. I grew up in Flushing, and then I moved to Bayside, and I also lived in Valley Stream, Fresh Meadows, and now I'm in Manhasset. I'm telling you, every different neighborhood is totally different than the other. And now in Flushing, I parked my car the other day. I'm just walking around like, oh my God. Now I know why. There are so many people taking the bus. Okay, taking buses. Okay, so now can you imagine if that many people depends on public transportation, and they don't have a good ways of getting people around, that they take out the bus only lane, they make the walkway narrow again. So I was there in the 90s. I understand how small those walkways were, and I don't understand how difficult it was for the for the buses to go around, especially when you have people doing the quote unquote drop off passengers or friends or relatives at the curbside, and then the bus is just sitting in the back honking. And I understand all that. So now I'm looking at things completely different. And that's how it goes to this whole immigration and gun control laws, because I remember when I was taking a real estate license and a sales 101 course, everyone tells you a few things you never talk about. You don't talk about politics. You never ever talk about race, gender, and all that stuff, because you don't want to fear, you don't want to have the backlash. So understand this, guys. I'm not saying this in a negative way. I'm saying things, maybe I'm ignorant, maybe someone needs to tell me, show me the difference, like Larry did, and I'm open to it. I'm very open minded person. I'm not saying it's my way or the highway. So that's what I was talking about. Gun controls. I am a gun fanatic. I have my pistol license, I have my CCW, conceal and carry license forever now. So out of 50 states or 35 states, I carry whenever I go. So it is not a show off. I never change the way I think just because. I'll give you an example. I want that parking, and by the difference between me having my sidearm on me, for those of you that my choice, it's also either a Glock, my personal, or the Glock 17 Gen 4, or the HNK the VP9. Okay, so it just doesn't really matter. I mean, I was reading this on Facebook the other day. This girl just got his license, pistol license, and she posted it. Someone had a very negative opinion of her, saying that I don't feel safe. She got all bent out of shape, saying that how dare you feel this way about me, this and that, and then a follow-up story. Few days later, they called her fighting. There was a road rage. She whipped out her pistol and then shot through the back of a window. I'm saying to myself, what the hell is wrong? It is stories like this. It's gonna make, yes, there was always gonna be bad apples. It's gonna make make everyone look bad. Okay, I've been, I have my pistol license, I have my CCW license for since forever. I've never changed the way that I drive. Just because I have a sidearm doesn't mean that, you better give me that parking space or else. No. And then those are the people that comes to the all heated discussion everyone's talking about. Should teachers be armed? And I know I'm gonna see so many backlashes, so many feedbacks, but I truly believe if you teach them the right way, responsible adults to carry, that will be the best thing that ever happened. Because take me for example, I have always been very open. I teach my 9-year-old son about gun safety, about all that stuff, because what, it is the curiosity. You don't teach them. I mean, I've seen sad stories all the time. How young kids, their parents will say, oh, this is bad, this is dangerous, don't touch it. Guess what? They're going to touch it. So you show them. I gotta tell you, it makes all the difference. But I don't want to get too specific. So this is one issue, and so that's why I was talking about, originally we're talking about American Dream. Where else are you going to find? Come on, people. I came here with nothing. I came here with absolutely nothing. When I was in Taiwan, my father worked very hard. My father, back in the days, this was it was about 30 years ago. My father was, he was a male nurse in Taiwan, and he leaves the house about 4 or 5 in the morning because he has to take buses and trains to the hospital. So he will leave at like 4 or 5 because he needs, his shifts starts at like 7:30 in the morning, and then he won't get home until like 8 or 9 o'clock at night because his shift, his 12-hour shift from 7 to 7. So and then he'll bus again and also train at the end of the night. So he's doing 12-hour shifts. He's making very little money. He was making like $18,000, Taiwan money, which is, back in the day, it's like, what, $600, $500? So a lot of people goes, wow. So yeah, 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, sometimes, half shifts on Saturdays, and he makes about $500, $600, a month. A lot of us are making a hell of a lot more than, in a week. Right, so that's what I'm telling you. This is my American dream. I am proud. I became a citizen many years ago. I vote, jury duty, anything for those of you that know me on personal levels, also, I serve. I do a lot of volunteer work. I serve. I was a member of Nassau County Police Reserves. I'm an active member of Nassau County Medical Reserve Corps, and then I was sitting on the board. A lot of charity organizations like the China AIDS Fund, like the American Cancer Society Asian Initiatives, and then and the reason why I chose Remax was part of the reason was because every transaction we donate to the Children's Miracle Foundation. So I do a lot of, because to me, I remember how unfortunate, how little money that I had. Basically, I had nothing. So I remember, I always remember the people who helped me along the way. I've met some fantastic people along the way. Dr. Doshis, Anish. I met a lot of fantastic people that say, hey, listen, we understand what we know you're struggling. We understand what you're going through. Let us help you. And, it is through that I became who I am. I owe everything I have today to of course, my parents, my family, of course, and then to Dr. Doshis and Anish. I owe them everything because they made me who I am. Okay, I remember I was so touched. I choked up when they first announced that I was the regional manager. I will never forget two events in my life. One is the day when I got hired. Dr. Doshi stood up. The CEO of the company stood up, looked at me dead in the eye, shook my hand and said, welcome to the family. When he said that, that's why I ended up spending 18 years, prime of my life. I gave everything to them. A lot of people goes, oh, do you regret it? I said, of course not. They made me who I am. That was my way of paying, my debt to them. Okay, and then another event was when they acknowledged, when they promoted me to the regional manager. And then I'm telling them that's the time when my father had my father was in the hospital. And for those of you that know me, my father passed away a few years ago due to an infection when he was in ICU in one of the hospitals in Taiwan. So it was difficult, but that same week I was, promoted to the regional manager. That's the time that my parents are divorced, so my father was remarried. That's the time when his wife called us and said that the doctor said that your father may not make it. You guys need to come back. So both of my sisters dropped everything and they flew back, and I stayed behind. So I will never forget when Anish and Dr. Doshi found out about it. They pulled me to a side, and they were very, very not angry, but they were shocked and upset. They were saying that we cannot believe that this is happening and you're here. And I said, you guys just made me the regional manager. You guys gave me the entire region. What was I supposed to do? Oh, by the way, I need to take some days and vacation time. He goes, and he said it, this is not a vacation. Your father, it's in the hospital. There's a good chance you may never see your father again. Anish, Anish's father also passed away very young, so he was a little choked up. So then that's when Dr. Lin Doshi looked at me and said, Andy, you are where you are today, not because what you could do for us tomorrow. You are where you are today because you have what you have done for us in the past, what you have shown us in the past. I will never forget that. It was such a powerful statement, because whenever we get promoted, or whenever we're given a new duty, people always say, oh, I'm gonna work extra hard, I'm gonna give you 100. Not realizing, you were recognized for that position not because of what you can do tomorrow. It's what you've been doing, what you have proven you've been doing, what you're worth to us or to the organization. So that's very important. All right, so guys, I know, and this is what I was talking about. See, now it's been about 25 minutes already. So that's why, for those of you, if you've stayed with me this long, I thank you very much for watching this. And then, now you know a little bit about me, and now you understand what kind of person I am, and then why I take the code of ethics, and then I do everything, because I'm in real estate. So everything I do, it's influenced directly by my father. The days with my father, with Anish, with Dr. Doshi, and along the way I picked up from different people. And remember, I was telling you guys, doing the ethical things is doing the right things when no one's watching. I remember I saw that from Frazier. It was one, he was arguing with his father about whether or not he should lie for his brother. His brother was getting divorced with Maris, so they were talking about it. So the father goes, "Why is this so difficult for you?" And then he said to his father, of all people, you should understand. Because his father was a retired police officer. So that's when he said it. Doing the ethical thing is, that's just what it is. Doing the ethical thing is doing the right things when no one's watching. So that's what I was talking about. Whenever, I'm influenced by a lot of positive people around me. And, I'm very fortunate to have had that. I know a lot of people don't have, or they're just simply associated with the wrong people, and then carry therefore the label of guilt by association. So that's why, hey, listen guys, I really appreciate you guys watching this. It was really good letting you guys know this much about me. And then if you guys ever need help, if you're facing a similar situation, I was so much in debt. I was, the whole thing with, with my ex-wife, I was so much in debt. She cleaned out my bank account. She racked up all my credit cards. I was so much in debt, but I came out of it. A lot of people said, "Oh my God, I can't believe, you held on. You're just so proud to declare bankrupt." That's it. I'm saying to myself, yes, 100,000 is a lot, especially in your 20s, but I'm not gonna let that destroy me. So I came out of that. I was more than 100,000 in debt, and I have close to $250,000 in the bank. It was a lot of stuff that literally should destroy me. So coming up from that to where I am today, so I could tell you I know a lot about a lot of things. So if you ever need help, please reach out to me. My direct, you could always find me, Andy Huang, across any platform of social media. Okay, my direct line is 646-996-0859. If I'm in the middle of something, please leave me a message. I always return your calls before the end of the day. And you could always reach me via text message or email address, Andy Huang, realtor@gmail.com. All right guys, it is Friday. It is a great Friday. Weather looks pretty good, so enjoy what you're doing. I hope you guys are getting a lot of, if you're real estate, I hope you get a lot of listings. If you're in in day trade, I hope you make a bunch of money. And whatever you're doing, I wish you great success. And then whenever, remember, we're always here. People around you that cares about you, that carries you through these tough time. We will always be there. So remember us. Give us a call. All right, guys. Have a fantastic weekend coming up, and then I will speak with you guys later. Bye now.